I always thought betrayal came with guilt, that if someone you loved crossed that line, at least their voice would tremble when they confessed. But when my wife, Emma, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Yes, I cheated, and I don't regret it," her tone was calm, almost relieved. For a moment I couldn't speak. The kitchen clock ticked like it was mocking me. The smell of burnt coffee lingered, and she stood there, arms folded, like she'd just finished a casual chore. I asked her to repeat it, not because I didn't hear, but because I didn't believe anyone could be that cold. She sighed, rolled her eyes slightly, and said, "You're not surprised, are you, Mark? We haven't been happy for a long time." There it was, the line cheaters rehearse when they need to shift blame. I tried to remember when we stopped being happy. Maybe it was when she started staying late at work. Maybe it was when she stopped laughing at my jokes. Or maybe it was when she started dressing up for someone who wasn't me. I asked who it was. She didn't answer right away. She just leaned against the counter and said, "It doesn't matter. What matters is, I finally feel alive again." Alive. That word felt like a knife. Because while she was feeling alive, I was busy paying bills, fixing the leaky roof, planning her birthday trip she never thanked me for. I had been fighting to keep our life stable while she was chasing aliveness. When she finally said his name, Derek from accounting, I felt my stomach drop. I knew the guy. Met him at a company barbecue. The one who'd complimented her dress too many times. I remembered the uneasy feeling I brushed off. I told myself not to be insecure. Turns out, insecurity had been intuition in disguise. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She just said she wanted to be honest. Honest after months of lying. That night I barely slept. The side of the bed where she usually lay felt empty, but not in a sad way. More like a space that didn't belong to her anymore. I watched the ceiling until dawn, thinking about every moment I'd mistaken for love when it was just habit. By morning, something inside me had shifted. I wasn't angry anymore, just done. The kind of done that comes when the pain burns itself out and leaves nothing but clarity. She came downstairs, expecting the usual routine: coffee, silence, tension. But this time I was already dressed. A packed suitcase sat by the front door. "Going somewhere?" she asked, almost amused. "Yeah," I said. "You are." Her smirk faded. I told her I'd called her sister, that she could stay there until she figured out her next move. Her mouth opened like she wanted to argue, but no words came out. I think she realized for the first time that I wasn't the version of me who begged for her attention. I was the version who had nothing left to give. She called me dramatic, said I was overreacting. But betrayal doesn't need volume to be valid. It's quiet. It's final. When she realized I wasn't bluffing, she started to cry. Real tears this time. The kind I'd wished for last night when she confessed. But they came too late. As she dragged her suitcase to the door, I noticed something strange. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel revenge. I felt peace, like finally putting down a weight I'd been carrying for years. Before she stepped out, she said, "You'll regret this." I looked her in the eye and said, "I already regret forgiving you before you even asked." The door closed behind her with a soft click. After she left, the house was quiet in a way I hadn't heard in years. Not peaceful quiet. More like the silence after a storm when everything still feels heavy, but the air is finally clear. I stood in the kitchen staring at the half-empty coffee mug she'd left behind. Lipstick on the rim. I should have thrown it out, but I didn't. I left it there as a reminder of what happens when you love someone who stopped respecting you. For a few days, I didn't tell anyone. I went to work, kept my head down, smiled when people asked if I was okay. I wasn't. But there's a strange kind of dignity in not letting the world see you crumble. At night, I'd scroll through old photos, vacations, birthdays, anniversaries. In every picture, I looked happy. She looked perfect. And now all I could see was the acting, the poses, the filtered moments hiding the cracks. By the third day, I packed every trace of her into boxes. Clothes, framed pictures, perfumes. Each item carried a memory, and each memory felt like a lie. I didn't cry while packing. I didn't rage. I just accepted. The hardest part was telling my parents. My mom's first question was, "Did you do something wrong?" Because that's how people think. If someone cheats, the other person must have failed. But I didn't fail. I gave everything I could to someone who didn't value it. 2 weeks later, Emma texted me. Just 3 words. "Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but curiosity won. I told her to come by. When she arrived, she looked different, less confident, more fragile. The kind of fragile that comes when you realize the fantasy wasn't real. She said things hadn't worked out with Derek. That he wasn't who she thought he was. I almost laughed. She said she missed me, missed us, that she'd made a mistake. I listened, but my heart didn't react. I remembered the night she confessed. How calm she was. How unapologetic. The version of her sitting across from me now wasn't sorry because she loved me. It was because her new world had collapsed. I asked her what she'd do differently if I took her back. She said, "I'd try harder." I shook my head. "You didn't forget how to love, Emma. You just stopped wanting to. And now you regret losing comfort, not me." She cried, said I'd changed. Maybe I had. Maybe heartbreak strips away the part of you that tolerates less than you deserve. Before she left again, she asked, "So that's it? You're really done?" "Yes," I said quietly. "You were done first. I'm just catching up." After that day, something shifted permanently. I stopped replaying the betrayal in my head. I stopped wondering what I could have done differently. The truth is, when someone betrays you and feels no regret, they've already rehearsed your absence long before you realize it. I started rebuilding my life piece by piece. Got back into running, reconnected with old friends, took weekend trips alone. I learned how to enjoy my own company again. One night, about a month later, I ran into Derek at a grocery store. He looked miserable, unshaven, tired, avoiding eye contact. I almost pitied him. Almost. But I didn't say a word. Just smiled and walked past. That's when I realized forgiveness doesn't mean you want someone back. It means they no longer control your peace. The following weekend, I changed the locks, painted the living room, and took that lipstick-stained mug and threw it in the trash. Watching it disappear into the bin felt like closing a chapter. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel broken. I felt free, because betrayal doesn't define you, what you do after does. And I chose to move on.